Hello and welcome to a review of the Railway Empire, developed by Gaming Man Studios and published by Kalypso Media Digital. And as the name says, Railway Empire is a train or a railway tycoon type of game, very similar to some of the older ones in all other ways, but a bit different also. And it's a bit of a mixed bag of good and bad. There are some things I really liked about the game, and then there are some that are not that great and actually kind of bad, and kind of makes the game fall flat in the long term. So the game features a campaign with 5 missions, so fairly short. It took me about 2 streams on my live stream to go through these, so maybe 10-ish hours or so, but I played it of course a bit slower than normal in there, and I also went for all the optional missions and everything in each of the mission campaign scenarios, so it took a bit longer that way as well. It wasn't very difficult at all. The game in general is not super difficult. It's definitely geared for like a more less experienced tycoon type of player. So if you're super familiar with tycoon games, like you don't know how the signals work and all that, and have a bit of trouble with that, then this could be a good game for you. But for someone who's played a lot of these type of games and wants a little bit deeper and like better train game, this is maybe not that, which is a shame because it includes a lot of really neat features that could be and could bring that deepness into the game, but as I said, in the end it doesn't really. And in addition to the campaign, you have scenarios. So there is 7 maps in the game, which are used between the scenarios, free play mode, and sandbox in the campaign, all of them. You play 5 of them in the campaign, and then there's a couple extras. In the scenarios, you have different stars here, which actually represent the different scenarios. So you have in total 11 scenario missions. So there's a couple of quite many scenarios. I only played one, the South myself here for the Black Gold, until I decided I just don't want to play more of this. And I also completed fully the campaign, and I tried the sandbox or the free mode a bit. So there is a free mode where you have the same 7 maps. The era here represents only the starting time period for you. So it's only 7 for this free mode. And then you have sandbox mode, which is the same as the free mode, but in the free mode you have money and opponents. In the sandbox you don't have any of that, so you're totally freedom to build whatever you want, which I found a kind of strange option, kind of boring option as well, but I'm sure someone might be interested in that. So let's load up one of the free modes. I'll demonstrate things best this way probably. So we'll just go for 1850s, for example, in the Midwest here, and then we're gonna alter the initial money we have, the starting city. So there's 4 big cities they suggest you to start from, that you can start from anywhere. We should pick Rochester here, for example. 3 competitors, doesn't matter, air level. And then you have this option here, which is one of the biggest problems in the game, I would say, is the rail network. So you have a realistic option where trains wait for each other, and you will need parallel tracks and switches and signals. Which is how it should work. I mean, realistic trains, you need to avoid everything and all that. And then you have the easy mode, where trains can pass each other without causing any traffic issues. So trains are basically coasts, and they can just drive through each other with no issues and park into the station on top of each other and all that. I'll show you a really bad example of this a bit later. I'll just show you the base mechanics first. But this is one of the biggest issues I have in the game. I mean, if you don't play the easy mode, you don't get it for yourself, but the AI also uses the easy mode, so that's pretty bad. Then you can do pausing. So game normally pauses when you are building something and also bulldozing something. You can enable manual pausing. So in addition of pausing automatically when you're building, you can also pause the game at any point. I like the manual myself. I played most of the game with the manual mode. And then you also can have a Triniac where never pauses at all, other than when you have offers, which you need to think about. So we'll go for a manual, and then ticket price, you can affect the prices if you want. Let's go.
Isn't my uniform fabulous? I designed it myself.
So while playing the free modes, you can choose between different characters. These are all characters you find in the main campaign. You actually play as the industrialist yourself, and the others are your opponents. But in a free play mode, you can play any of them. So we'll just be my name, my railways. Each of them has a bonus. So for example, he gets 5% more freight, and there's a different bonus for the different ones.
The rest are just gold diggers who don't have a clue about how this business works.
Exactly. Let's go. Let's go make some money. So here we go.
Your company has just been founded, your startup capital transferred, and your list of tasks created. But beware of your 3 opponents.
So this is one of the maps, the Midwest. You have familiar cities like Chicago and a bunch of these spread around here, especially if you know US locations. So on the maps you have a bunch of cities, and you have a bunch of production areas like farms that produce grain. You have fruits and all of these other materials, and all the factories are located in the cities as well. Down here you have a minimap. White means it's a city, which you don't have a station, or anyone doesn't have a station yet, and then a controlling station in there change the color. So for example, if we build a station in the Rochester here, it will turn our color. So let's go through the UI quickly, and I'll show and explain a lot more of the map and while we build things. So options in the corner, here you have your train list, which we don't have. You have flow of goods, so you can see, for example, grain here, that these require grain, and this produces grain. You can also use these to find with arrows, like here's a farm over that way, which can be really handy finding especially more rarer materials on some of the missions. And then we have tips and tricks. So there is actually a kind of hint system in the game here, where you can get some info how to play the game. The game offers a lot of hints and tips all the time, especially if you have the game hints enabled. It gives you a lot of these like pop-ups everywhere, like here's a problem, this is how you solve it. They're actually really good. They even have like small video tutorials in some of the cases that explains you how to play the game. So compared to many other training games, this game in that sense is actually really good at explaining how to actually play the game in most cases, as opposed to most other railway games just throw you here, run a business. Good luck. Then we have tasks. So these are because we're playing the free play mode, and in the campaign and scenarios you also have different tasks that you need to achieve by certain date. In the free play mode you just get bonus score if you get these by the date it's required. In the scenarios and campaign you fail the mission if you don't succeed in time, and some of these can be really tough. None of these though don't seem really difficult, but like growing a city to a certain size can be really difficult. Then we got company information here. So there's a lot of numbers about your company. None of this really matters. I never really looked at this at all. Then you have quarterly reports. So if you want to see where your money goes, doesn't really matter as well, because money is too easy to make in this game, just drown in money. You can't literally lose money in this game. There is a bit of maintenance and costs and interest and wages and things, but they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, because if you have a transportation line, say transfer people or mail, for example, if you just make a station from city to city and railway, you will make money. You can't lose money on that, as long as you're transporting people. Same thing with the industries. You take grain from an industry to a city, you always make money. There is no way you are losing money as long as trains are running properly. So all of this is kind of irrelevant because of that. The money making is a bit too easy in that sense. Then you have competitors. So this is actually important window here. So this shows your competitors and how their company value is and everything. And here you can actually buy shares. So we can buy shares of our competitors. I could almost actually buy out her immediately. And once you have 100% of the shares or 100% of their public float is sold, you can actually merge with them. And if there is a shares that you don't have, like for example he bought her company's shares and I want to buy him out, I need to pay a bit of extra, but you can actually merge and buy out them totally, which is often a really good thing to do, so you don't have competition. There's also a stock market, so you can buy these stocks, and you can then sell them when their price is up. You don't actually get anything from owning the stocks. Same with these from the competitors. It's just to buy them out or to sell these later. For example, if you know you're gonna be doing a lot of food industry stuff, you could buy early a bunch of food industry shares and then sell them later on. And you can also take bonds, which are basically loans, in here. Okay, there we go. Then we have research, which is another kind of complaint point for me about the game, is that as you can see, it looks pretty impressive and huge like this. And not only that, there are strange locomotives, there's also a company and construction research here as well. But in this game, you never actually progress in time, other than between missions. So you never actually start from like 30s, research this, go to 50s, research this, go to 70s, research this. You never go actually through that. You only have like these two sections unlocked, or even one if you're all the way back here. So you never get the full research tree done. And that was a bit of a bummer, because when I first saw this, it was like, whoa, that's a huge research tree. But then it turned out to be not so much. And the reason why they are done like this is because you have a lot of research that is same between the eras. So for example, there's telegraph station here, which increases the wait time of passengers in the cities for trains by 20%. And then there's another one here, a station comfort, which does the exactly same thing. So it's basically just doubling up the same research. Some of them in the later eras are a bit more powerful. So like instead of 10% it's 15%, but it's the same thing essentially, just multiple times in the same research tree. It's a bit different in the trainers and locomotives, because you get different trains as you progress in here, but you have the same limitation that you don't actually time-wise, you don't ever progress except between the missions. And there's also a lot of these things that share the same effectiveness, especially on like a increased power of your locomotives by 5%, and there's probably one there, another one for the same one. So same way, this is kind of just copy-pasted between the eras, and it's a bit of a bummer how it will turn out. I like the research itself though. You gain research points, innovation points per month. There's a personnel you can hire to get extra points, and you can build universities in the cities to get even more points that way. So it's actually a pretty good system, but I wish, especially like in the sandbox or sorry, the free play mode, where you play on like a more like sandboxy mode, you could start from the beginning and then progress through the whole thing. Would be really nice, but you kind of don't, which kind of sucks. And there's really no point. By the time you're played a map for like 20 years, you have everything everywhere, more or less. So it's just pointless. Then we have engine shed, which basically just gives information of your different trains, kinda pointless as well. And then you have personnel, so you can hire conductors. I'll actually show that in a second when we get the train going. So date, pause, and money. Here you can skip between your trains. So let's get the train going. So this is how you build stuff. Here you get new trains, here you get train tracks, you make buildings here, and then demolish. So let's get this open here. So this is the buildings menu, and down here you have railway buildings, industries, and universities, special buildings basically. And in a city like this is Rochester here, so you can see that it produces meat and leather, and same you can see like these produce grain. But if you click on a city, you get a bit more information here. So you get the city information, city size, city inhabitants, which I forget the size, consumption of carloads per week, which is for the goods, and cities grow. So if you have fulfillment of demand over 60%, so 61 or higher, you get growth in your city, and that affects how many industries can be in a city. So you can see 40,000 population, etc., and the special building then in the end there. And you can look at here for the goods. So this is the demand of the goods. So we can see stocks in the city, and we can see weekly demand. And the importance is in the order. So grain being the most simplest thing you need to feed your city. is on the top, and then cows, because we have cow industry or meat industry, and then meat here, some beer, some wood, some cattle, and then we have no demand for cotton because we don't have an industry for it. But then as you can see, as you unlock higher and higher amount of population, you get more and more new demands, and it becomes harder and harder to hit this fulfillment because you need to fulfill all the different requirements. But feeding a city with all these goods and growing it is really, really profitable, and also great way to make money. And all the goods go into city, so there is no industries on the map. Like, you know, so for example, Transport Tycoon Deluxe or something, you might have like a factory here. In this one, all the factories are located in all the cities, so all of these will eventually go into city, and there's no like a midpoint or anything. Let's get a railway going. So we'll get a train station here. There's 3 different sizes. There's a small one. The white circle basically affects what range it pulls things. So for example, if you put this here, it gets grain from the farm here. But if you take, for example, the larger station, which has a much larger white area, we can actually pull from multiple areas. But also cost goes up, and the amount of the platforms is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then there are signals, which in this game are a bit wonky. They don't really do their job properly. Partially also why because of the railway construction is kind of bad. The laying tool is really good, but how you connect them, you can't, for example, cross a rail with each other. But I'll show that in a second. Then there are supply towers, so you need to supply your trains with water, sand, and lubricant along the line. So you sprinkle these in good intervals in a line. Then you have a warehouse where you can, well, store items and then transport them further from there. You can put 6 types of goods into a warehouse and then transport them. And it's actually not a bad idea usually, especially when you have a lot more money or later in the game. Just place one warehouse like close to a city, have all the goods transported into the city, and then just have a small train line that pumps them into the city from the warehouse. We'll start with a small one. Actually, let's do a small one is fine. And we'll just put it in the middle of the city. So unlike in other transport type of games, the cities don't care where you build stuff, more or less. You can have max 2 railway stations in a city, but that's it basically. So for example, I can just plop this in the middle of the city here, and the city transforms around it as I needed. And let's do another train station here in the farm, and same way the farms are moved over there. And if you do a railway, like this house is in the way, so if I do a rail here, it will actually move eventually. So this is the rail laying tool, which actually is really quite nice. So you see the incline, so how badly inclined your railways. So higher incline makes the trains go slower, so you can alter it this way. And this is just a planning tool, so you can plan your like rail line here initially, and then you have to press the pay and build. But you can actually alter it like mid build to alter the cost, change the inclines. You can add new points here. So if I want to make a turn, I can do it. And all of this is really nice. You can also increase the rail up and down, make it into a roller coaster instead of a railway, or you can go down into the ground, and you can make tunnels, you can make bridges, and all of that. But that looks fine for us now, so we'll just pay for that line, and boom, we have a train line going from city to the grain here. And then we need that supply tower, which is one in the middle there, looks fine. And also an important one, which I myself always forget, is adding at least one maintenance building into train line, which in Rochester, if that's our main city, is pretty good, because a lot of the trains will come here. So now they get maintenance also in there. You can also use this button to expand the station, to make it a bit bigger. So basically the small, medium, large, same increase. And the city will move again, so you never run into a situation that, oh, I can't expand my station because city doesn't allow in certain games. But then in this one you can do it. And then let's get a new train going. So you add a locomotive. It's Philadelphia for us. Basically you can see all the information about the train in here, same as in the engine shed, which kind of makes the engine shader useless. And we'll buy that. So in here you can do the personal now. We don't have any personal set in there, so we can't do it right now. But you could add an engineer, a stoker, a conductor, and security guard to your trains. And then you can add a dining car, refrigerator car, a caboose, and a mail car. But in this game, trains are always basically the same. So you only build the engine, you never build the wagons. And all trains are max same length. And they just magically create the wagons as they need. And remove them as they need. And doing these rail cars, like the dining car and caboose and the mail car, actually replaces one of those potential cars in there. So if you add, say, a dining car into your train, you remove one potential wagon from your car, which is kind of annoying. And I like a game system in other like a railway type of tycoon type of games where you're gonna choose which wagons and how many you want there yourself, instead of this. But we have a train now, so we're closing this, and then you need to set that rail line, and you just click on the big circle there and a big circle, and we have rail lines here. You can also change the loading from automatic to passengers and mail to freight only, and there's a manual option as well. So you're gonna go fiddle here, like which track you wanna go at the station, and then which goods you wanna take in there, and how many cars, minimum, maximum you take in there. But we're fine with the automatic since it's just the grain into here. Mostly the automatic is good enough in most cases, and or freight, and you don't really need to fiddle with the manual unless you're going really fancy with the warehouses and stuff like that. But in general, it's not needed. So we'll just click on that and let it go. And you can also always edit those information. You don't need to build like a maintenance hut or where the train comes from. It just magically appears in the line. So now that we've made one train, we'll just unpause the game, and the train magically appears on the station. And it magically just makes wagons that it now transports into the city. You can also click on the train, and you can see what's in there, how much speed, how much money it's making. And you can also center the camera on the map, train, and you can also ride along. So if you want to ride along the train, we can do this. And it actually is quite fun to do, especially when you have a massive train line system going on around. It's quite fun to just ride the train around and see things go around. That's our basic train line. And this is pretty much most of the game. So you just connect these into your cities, make money out of that, and then you try to feed in the requirements, and also if you're doing tasks, you want to aim on those. And now we can come to the problems of the game. So there's a lot of annoyances in the train building itself, or the railway building itself. So just building a simple line like this is fine. And even adding like say a bypass line or a second line here that goes the other direction, say this way. Let's move this a bit this way. So adding a line where they're gonna go this way and buy this, and then we can add those signals into here. So this can be like one-way signal. So we add signals. Now you're going this way, and now you're going that way, and you see that they are all on the full line. So if you press Control, it actually adds that to the full line here. So there and there. It only gets cut by the supply depots, which actually expands. If you build a train line next to each other, it actually expands. So we can add a second one or a third one here, like this. And you can finally do this and there. So now it adds one more line is now being utilized by that. So you can save a lot of money doing this. But yeah, so signals. And then you can also do one-ways. So if you hold shift and click, you get this red dot in the front, and now you can see the line going this way. So it's only one way now, and you can do the same one on the other side, and boom. Now we have a one-way track, kind of loop around. So we can have trains going this way, and then the trains going with this way, and they don't really need to wait that much. And we're gonna add a second train if we want to there, just a clone button. Couple of them, a couple of grain trains there now, just going around. And there goes one, The second one loads up some goods, goes after the other one. And then they run the city. They stop here. They wait for the other train to leave from the station. There is the magical flipping of trains in this game, so it just turns around, goes the other way, and there it goes again. And then the next train goes in the city. So that's actually pretty good about the train building. But then if you want, for example, cross these. So if I wanted to go this way, and also to be able to go this way, it is not possible. You cannot do like an X crossing here, which would allow you to have if you have multiple stations here, for example, and you wanted to do like a multiple entrance system here into this railway station here, it would be impossible to access like both of the things easily in there, and it's kind of annoying. The even more annoying system about this railway building is that you can't have a... I need to start this from somewhere like here. Let's do it this way. So you can't have crossing rails like this. You have to go under or over. Like here it's trying to make us a tunnel under the other one there. And it's really annoying that you can't do like a X crossing, or like a just crossing between the other rails. It's not allowed to be made this way. And you always have to go under or over. And you can't have lights like stop trains and allow the other one go past, which is really frustrating. It doesn't work from any angle, so you have to always go under or over, and it's frustratingly bad when there's a lot of railway lines all over the place, especially opponents' railway lines, which you can't alter. It becomes a nightmare and a really big annoyance. So the signal system is very limited. You can only make one ways and then have like a normal just a stop signals in there, and that's it. Which makes managing like a big amount of trains in the same rail system a really big annoyance and really difficult. And mostly they just give up and they just don't want to move anywhere and complain about the railway being blocked, and then you have to just blow up a couple trains and basically remove your thing, and then just try to make just point-to-point connections into different rails and add those warehouses. The warehouse feel like just a kind of bubblegum fix to a broken system, so that you can have more trains, bring goods into there, and then move them into the city, and then spam multiples of those to make it possible to have that much trains in the same system, basically. So it's really frustrating that way. But let me load up one of my saves. This Texas scenario I was playing. So this is the Texas scenario, and this shows really badly one of the biggest problems I have with the AI, or the biggest problems I have with the AI, and I managed to crash the game, so that might be a problem as well. Let me just load up that quickly. So the problem with the railways was the easy building mode of the railways. Like I said in the scenarios here, there was the railway network easy mode option. And the problem with that was that trains can pass each other, like through each other. Let's see if that works now instead. Which is mega frustrating. So here we can pause. As if you use the realistic mode, it's only for you. The AI still will use the easy mode, and it allows them to make crazy money from a really simple railway network that's not possible for you. And if you play the easy mode yourself, the game turns into like a mega easy, no-brainer, just add billion trains and make money game. And this is the big problem. So for example here might be a good example. So the AI has made a railway here, a station with 4 lines, and it's only utilizing one of them. But if you look at this, when I unpause, just look at these trains. They just pass through each other. There's 3 trains there now currently, and they just drive through each other. This is not a bug. This is actually how the AI works in this game, and how it runs its train networks. They just pass through each other because it doesn't know how to make proper passing lines or how it's realistic or anything. And this allows you to put infinite trains into a single line, basically, and they will just run there non-stop, making crazy money.
What bad luck.
And then they also nag at you. So this is the worst part about this game. It's not a big issue in the campaign mode, when you play through the campaign, because the missions are not that long in the campaign. They're decently long, like a couple hours per mission. But you don't end up into a situation where this turns into a problem, especially because the missions are kind of scripted and kind of structured in a way that it doesn't affect you that much. But when you play scenarios or the multiplayer, not the multiplayer, the sandbox mode, and play a lot longer on a single map, it turns and becomes a much bigger problem, and kind of shows the ugly part of the game, how bad it is for the AI, especially. Like, this is some kind of special way to solve the problem of AI not being completely intelligent to make all those nice rail connections. Like, it builds these railways really well, like this line here and all these into the stations and these nice loops. It built all of these just naturally, but it doesn't know how to make like passing lines or how to use signals or anything. It just abuses the system of easy mode by just making these crazy train lines where trains just pass through each other. I tried one of the campaign missions with this easy mode on them for myself as well, and it made the game ridiculously easy. I just spammed trains wherever I felt like, and just made infinite money and made a joke out of the mission. So this basically ruins the game for me, like 100% ruins the game for me. It gives a massive competitive edge due to kind of stupidity to the AI, while ruining it kind of for you, and which makes the AI really difficult. It actually kind of makes it hard to beat the AI, because they can cheat crazy money out of same systems where you have a really trouble of building a lot of trains yourself, especially if you're short in space. And then it spams the railways all over the map, and as I said, you can't cross them, you have to go over them. So for example, let's say I want to build a rail line from here. I want to cross a new line that goes this way. So I'll have to go over both of these like this. Even though it already goes kind of in a like a valley here, I have to go over and over and over. I can't ever cross these, not with opponents or mine, and it's really bad system. So I don't know, it kind of makes the game very much fall flat as you play it long term, and it's kind of hard to recommend the game because of that. It is there's a lot of really good systems, like the research, which also is kind of problematic. All of this building and transporting goods and growing your cities and building new industries, buying industries. You can also, for example, if I want to buy this farm here, I can buy the farm. I can pay money and buy the farm. There's also bidding for industries between the AI. There's also fun interactions with the AI as well that way. But it all just kind of crumbles and falls apart. Like, there's great ideas, but the execution just fails in the end. But yeah, I guess that's my review of the Railway Empire. It's very expensive on Steam, or well, wherever it's being sold at the moment. In Europe, it's 50 euros, which is definitely way too much for the game. Half the price, maybe, I would consider it. But with the problems with the AI and all that, maybe not even then. So I would maybe get this on a big sale. Because the campaign is fun to play, and it's like 10 hours or something. Depending on your own spending and all that, of course, how much you want to spend on a game. I can recommend playing through the campaign. It's fun. It's pretty fun, and I like that there's like a mission goals and things to do. And on the campaign, it kind of works. But outside of the campaign, the game really is lacking in a lot of ways. So I can't really recommend it because of that. But still, it's fun. It was really fun to play through the campaign, as there was like a lot of the other Transport Tycoon, Transport Fever, and all these train games are very like very sandboxy. It just gives you, here's a map, here, have fun, build a railway empire for yourself. And in this one, it gives you a lot of like goals to aim for, and kind of challenges you to do things. And there are story parts and nice cutscenes and all that. It was really nice to have that in a game for once. And I can recommend that part of the game, but the rest, not so much. But anyways, that was my review of the Railway Empires. If you like this review, check out other reviews, let's plays, and all the other content on the YouTube channel, and check out the live stream on twitch.tv/Beladar, where I play games like this, other building management strategy games, and a bunch of other every day. And I'll see you guys next time, so bye bye.